My question is, or first a little, just a very quick statement is all four of you here know, and the people sitting here, this province has really over-regulated the rural people. All the decisions have been made in Toronto or from big city people. I want to basically talk about drinking water. The drinking water here, and I'm going to, involves two places right now in Toledo. There's a couple other places that haven't been checked. Regulations right now, we've had the health inspector, which I'm speaking now for the Legion here. We've done what they've said. We can either add an addition onto our well head, which is in the basement, to prevent water from coming in it. But if water ever got in the top of that, we've got Noah outside here to pick up some people, so whatever. It can't be done. We have to either drill a new well, which is going to cost us over $4,000, or we can add an ultraviolet system, and it has to be a special. It's $2,700. So the Legion can't afford all this stuff. So I'd like to know what, if elected, what you intend to do about all this over-regulated stuff, about changing bills that are already there, or using some common sense. The Legion's had its water tested for 10 years. We've been 0-0. The 3 recommended steps by the Department of Health were to improve it. How in heck do you improve on 0-0? So anyway, thank you.
Well, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we are about trying to cut red tape. We're about having solutions that work for communities, made by communities. We're about empowering individuals to take control over their own lives. The government should really only be stepping in to make regulations if it's for the protection of society from the individual, or for the protection of the individual from society, not to protect the individual from themselves. In this case, it's ridiculous. It's your water, you drink the water is safe, everybody's happy, nobody got sick, there should be no... It's fine. We definitely don't need any more regulation in that sense. And it just costs tax dollars, it's expensive, and it's untenable, it's unsustainable.
For those of you that don't know, the health unit deals with about 350 small drinking water systems like the one here at the Legion in Toledo. And I know that my office was involved in brokering the meeting with you and the health unit about it. So, and as an MPP, obviously you can't break regulations, and I'm certainly not going to ask you to break regulations, but there are 2 things that I'm going to suggest that should happen. First, I agree with you 100%. If you've had 10 years of good readings, I think that has to have some weight. Not just the fact that you're a small operation, a small community hall, small Legion, so you're in that branch where you're at risk. And that's the only reason why you're there, is you've got a small operation, and that's why you're in that at-risk category. I think there has to be some weight for those 10 years of good readings, and 10 years of good water. I think that amounts to something. The other thing is I think we need a made in Leeds Grenville solution. Rather than having small volunteer organizations drive to Ottawa or drive to Kingston, I think we need to have a homegrown lab right here in Leeds Grenville to cut those testing costs. You know, Rockville's got a pollution control plant. Maybe that's something that we should be sitting down with them, seeing if we can cut these costs down significantly so that burden isn't so much for small volunteer organizations like the Legion. So that's 2 suggestions to help you.
Because this all comes directly from the fall of Walkerton. Because what happened to Walkerton is that we had a government, the Harris government, the Conservatives, who decided they were going to cut red tape, they were going to cut staff, they were going to, streamline government. And so they cut willy-nilly, irresponsibly, recklessly, and 2 dozen people died. And hundreds were made sick. Hundreds and dozens of those people are going to be permanently on dialysis for the rest of their lives. So what did they do then? Well, then they brought in these really draconian water laws. They didn't bring staff in, but what they did was they didn't restore the staffing levels. What they did instead is they brought these draconian water laws in, and they said, you guys, here's all the laws. It's written in legalese. You got to be an environmental engineer to understand it, but you got to do it. Because if you don't, well, we'll shut you down. That's not the way to go. We used to have people in this riding that actually looked after that kind of stuff, but they're all gone. They got canned. You know, that was under the Harris government. They haven't been restored under the current Liberal government. In fact, those people working in the Ministry of Environment, those people working in the labs to check your water and look after your water, they're being cut now again. There's not enough people there to do the job now, but they're being cut again. So the precautionary principle is gone. So what's happened is they say to you, you've got to meet these high standards. I don't care what it costs. We're not going to provide you the support that you need to actually meet those standards.
I'm really sorry to hear what's going on here because it's ridiculous. First thing I would say is I'm guessing you're not alone. There's other organizations, other legions around that are having the exact same problem.
Corner grocery stores.
Corner grocery store. Get together, and if your MPP will set up the meeting, that's great. But it's not a meeting where they sit back and say, you're not doing anything. It's take, and I'm not saying that's what you do, but that's what sometimes the opposition MPs do, is sit back and just yell instead of bring a resolution. Let's bring the resolution. And if you're not getting that, bring it to me, and even though right now I'm not the MPP, but will be soon, I'll still help you with it. Okay? I do like Steve's idea of using the pollution control plant in Brockville, if that's a possibility. Let's bring back some of these environmental jobs because some of them are important. What happens is when you have a Walkerton, the pendulum swings way one way, then it swings way the other way. What we're doing now is trying to right it. And it's a hard job to right it when death and illness are involved. But bring your problems to the minister, not just to the MP, and we'll see if we can get some things fixed as soon as possible for you, because what you're going through is silly.
Supply management system for agriculture.
Comments that certainly our platform change book talks about our support for the supply management system, and as well for the business risk management system for those other sectors that we mentioned tonight.
I've spoken about it at least half a dozen times tonight. Absolutely, yes. But I think what you guys need to do is look at the history of the parties. Who actually has supported supply management, and when? When was the last time they did that for you guys? Because I'll tell you right now, it hasn't been happening. There's been attack after attack on supply management because they're telling you guys that if you want to get ahead, then you've got to be more efficient. Be more efficient. You know, you don't need to go through a supply management. You don't need to do that because you can be on your own. You can sell directly to a super center or to a Maple Leaf Foods or one of those other big processors. You and I both know that doesn't work. The best way for you guys to get to actually make a living is to band together, so that you can bargain effectively with these giant multinational corporations, which Steve and Ray are going to give big tax cuts to. They're going to give billion-dollar tax cuts. Hundreds of millions are going to go to these 4 or 5 companies that corner the whole market. So you guys have got to look at who actually in the past has supported it. We have. So please remember that. Thank you.
Answers yes, and I've already talked tonight many times about risk management, how I'm 100% behind the risk management program and have been since the very beginning, making sure that the beef producers, the oilseed producers, the hog farmers are all getting what they deserve for their product, and they have a safe baseline to work from.
Well, I've also said it before that farmers are absolutely integral to us continuing as a species and us continuing as a society, and anything that needs to be done in order to make sure that farmers continue to be part of our economy and part of, feeding our communities is going to be done.
Yeah, we just have one more question before closing remarks. And it's under livestock compensation program is updated and revised with improved compensation rates paid for livestock losses by competitors. However, livestock evaluators and townships are not using this new program. If elected, what will your government do to remedy this problem?
Make them follow the program. Thank you.
That's a real easy one. As you said, make them follow the program. I was part of the Leeds, or am still part of the Leeds Grenville Predation Task Team that pushed to get this compensation changed. And now when I see the municipalities not following it, I'm crazy angry about that. That's just wrong. So when I'm elected, I will be pushing along with my government, because I know they support this, to get the municipalities to follow the legislation as it was written. That if you normally get more for your animal than the average or the amount specified in the base amount of the legislation, you will get the proper compensation, and I will fight to make sure you get it.
There seems to be an awful lot of anger. I've talked to a lot of people in the riding. There seems to be an awful lot of anger towards the municipalities and how they go about doing their day-to-day business. I talked to a business owner earlier today who's told us that a lot of businesses that are starting up in the community are actually having obstacles put in their way by the municipalities. These are people who want to become economic drivers in the community, and they're not able to start their businesses because of these things. Obviously, there's something wrong with the municipal system the way it's being done. And, if they're not paying out the compensation, that's just another one of these examples of something integral that's got to be changed.
Well, as I said earlier tonight, the government told municipalities over a year ago that they were going to make these compensation changes. And then what local farmers are telling me is that when coyotes are getting calves and the compensation levels have not increased, that they're going to the old valuation levels, basically farmers have been misled. And I think the government needs to make the changes and live up to their promises to farmers. We've had a committee now meeting and organizing and talking about compensation levels. We've had the government announce and re-announce that they're going to provide them. We need the program to meet farmers' needs, plain and simple.
Now time for closing.
For moderating tonight. I want to thank the OFA for putting on another tremendous all candidates meeting where we talked about a variety of issues. I want to congratulate my colleagues at the table. Just in closing, as your Ontario Progressive Conservative candidate, I've been your MPP for just 18 months, a year and a half. Thoroughly enjoyed the work that I have with your organizations and with individual farmers. Just to give you a little background about myself that I didn't say at the start, my wife Deanna and I love this community. We have 5 kids now that they're all in their 20s. They're all over the place, some in school and some not. But over the last year and a half, I've tried to cover the territory. I've expanded constituency meetings, not just in Brockville, but in Kemptville, Prescott, Westport, and Gananoque. I've had personal meetings in every municipality in Leeds, Grenville. I've tried to be an accessible MPP, not just at those meetings, but around the riding. I ask for your support on October 6th because I've tried and I will continue to work to be an advocate for agricultural issues and rural affairs here in Leeds and Grenville. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll be around afterwards to talk with you. Thank you very much.
My first debate. I really enjoyed it. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'd like to thank the OFA for putting this debate on. Some of the questions were, well, I learned that there was such a thing as called a Bobo League. So I learned tonight too.
They can show you too.
So we do have an agricultural program. The NDP has a very complete agricultural program. I urge you to look it up. When you look at the party's platforms, I think we have the most sustainable platform. The Ottawa Citizen actually labeled the Conservative economic platform as borrow, spend, and then pay interest. The Liberal platform is nearly identical: borrow, spend, and pay interest. They're going to give multi-billion-dollar tax cuts to corporations who already have billions of dollars, but they're not really. They haven't put you guys first. Our party, myself, is about putting families first. I've worked for the last 2 decades to put families first. That's my job. I advocate on behalf of working people. And I believe in my heart that when working people do better, we all do better. When we all have money in our pockets, when we all get a living wage, when we all make a real living return on our investments and on the work that we put forward, we'll have a more livable life. A more livable life translates into better communities, more opportunities for our young people, an opportunity to actually have jobs within our small communities, because for 20 years now, and let's remember this, for 20 years now we've had Liberals and Conservatives who have said they're going to make things better for you. Has it been better? Are our rural communities doing better today? I think you just have to look around with open eyes and say, no, we're not. Our rural communities are not thriving. Our young people are not being able to find jobs and opportunities in here. Education costs more than ever, and yet the choices that the Conservatives make, the choices that the Liberals make, nearly identical choices, are that they put the Bay Street first, not Main Street. And I'm here to tell you that if you elect me, I'll be putting you first. Thank you.
At the back of the room, there's a table. And it has our platform on it, and it has our specific rural platform. I ask you to get a copy of it and go through it. You'll see that our ideas for making a mandatory class in high school now for food processing, so kids understand what healthy food is and where it comes from, is a great idea. You'll see that we're behind the RMP program, have been from the beginning, and we're going to push the federal government to join us to make sure that you folks have the programs that you need. We're going to work together environmentally to build a green, sustainable world that you can produce your crops and animals and kids in the healthiest way possible. And it's an easy way to figure out how. When you ask the experts, and I don't look to myself, because I've been off the farm for a while. I don't ask when it comes to medicine, what's the best. Dr. David Keon, the event of the heart, says that our health plan is great. Dr. David Suzuki says that our green plan is amazing. And former Vice President Al Gore says our work for saving or protecting the global warming is the best thing we've done. In agriculture, Don Kenny, chair of the Grain Farmers of Ontario, on March 29, 2011, said, "The leadership shown today by the McGuinty government sets a new standard in the province and ensures the sustainability of our family farms." The experts are who to believe. Things have not gotten better over the years. You keep telling me that. Decades and decades and decades, it's remaining the same. And what has remained the same? The parties have changed in power. The MPs have. Senator Heffernan.
I guess I've made it amply clear tonight that I'm not a farmer, but I'm also not a politician. I'm here because I'm pissed off, and I'm sure that's why a lot of you are here, apart from those of you who are already decided voters. I find it really sad when I look out, and this is symptomatic of our political system being broken. There's only like 24 people here at the end of the party. Most of you already have your political affiliation on your sleeve. People aren't participating in the political process anymore. People have become apathetic. They're staying home. They're not participating. They're cynical. What's the reason? Well, they're sick of the way that government is being done. We need a new way to go about doing politics. We need a way that's going to involve people, that's going to get excited. And, over the past 20 years, we've had 3 different parties have alternated in power, and they haven't fixed it. There's something endemic. There's something wrong in our political system. There's something that we need to heal. And the only way we're going to bring change is by voting for change, and real change, not just bringing back the deadbeat ex that you kicked to the curb 8 years ago. We need a new voice with new ideas. The other parties are promising you candy. We're saying eat your vegetables. You'll be happy you did in a few years. So hopefully, people of Leeds Grenville will join with me. I understand we've got the odds stacked against us significantly, but hopefully you'll stand with us on election day and vote for a party that you can really believe on, one that you haven't been disillusioned in yet. And maybe we can have a real revolution at the ballot box and send a clear message, shake things up in Queen's Park.